Blake Masters is preparing another Arizona Senate bid, this time for Kyrsten Sinema's seat. What is up, people, the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video today. It is time that we talk about the 2024 U.S. Senate election in the great state of Arizona, because everyone, we got some major news. Blake Masters is preparing another Arizona Senate bid, this time for Sinema's seat. That is right, everyone. Blake Masters, the 2022 nominee against Mark Kelly, will in fact be running for the Senate election next year. Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $1 a month, you can join Real American. This is the best way to support the daily content that we all know and love. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Alright, everybody. So, let me be 100% clear. I am a bit biased towards Masters. I supported him all the way back in 2021. I was on the Masters bandwagon far before most people. But either way, I 100% support Blake Masters next year. Or there is another option, but we'll get to that in a second. But let's talk with the man, the myth, the legend, Blake Masters. Now, did he lose in 2022? Yes, he lost by around 4 points in the state of Arizona. But there is some catches here and there about Blake Masters' underperformance. Number one, he was going against a fairly strong Mark Kelly. Now, at the time, I thought Mark Kelly was overrated, but looking back at it, yeah, he does fit the state of Arizona pretty well. For the simple fact that, he's a fake moderate. Arizona, for whatever reason, they love these John McCain types. It's like, I don't get it. Like, it's been 5 years since he passed away. But it's like, they like these moderate candidates who, some of the time, they're not even moderates like Mark Kelly. I mean, come on now. Mark Kelly votes with Biden like 98% of the time. And he's considered a moderate Democrat. But Masters had many things going against him. Of course, was going against Mark Kelly. He had a brutal primary. I don't think people understand how brutal that was. You had that loser Jim LeMaine, who spent $20 million calling Masters a Jew-hating prick. That's not even a joke. He did that. And that was right before the primary when, at that point in time, he was going to be the nominee. It is a complete travesty what some candidates did to Blake Masters last year, when everybody knew it was over. And then Lamont spends $20 million on bashing Blake Masters, and suddenly the money disappeared. Lamont said he was going to spend hundreds of millions to defeat Mark Kelly. Well, he didn't spend a dime helping Blake Masters. And to this day, he is still salty about it. There were many factors going against Blake Masters. Plus, back then, he didn't have the name recognition you would want to have. I mean, he was unknown just a year ago. No one knew who the hell Blake Masters was. Well, he ran a statewide election. And people are going to say, well, his favorability rating is 12%. He got 47% of the vote. This hyper-focused crap on favorability rating doesn't matter to a lesser extent. Yeah, but let's be clear about this. He got 47% of the vote, when his favorabilities were far worse, Trump. This had to do with the fact Mark Kelly had a funding advantage, he had a name recognition advantage, he was able to find Blake Masters last time around. But on top of all of this, people that correlate a midterm election to a general, guys, there were hundreds of thousands of voters that voted in 2020 that didn't vote in 2022. So you just start looking at all the things. There are serious reasons to support somebody like Masters and say, well, he lost 2022, that automatically disqualifies him. Not necessarily. You gotta look at the context of some of this stuff. But either way, what are some things I would want Masters to change before we get into the actual article? In my opinion, the biggest thing is a focus on what made Masters unique. What's made him stand out. It was the one income per household policy where, hey, we should be able to raise a family on one income like we had for the entire history of this country before like the 70s. That's what made stuff like that made Masters unique. He made him stand out. I mean, they made the Pima County Democrats go nuts over it, but then Gallegos says the same thing and they praise it. But it doesn't matter. I mean, these Democrats, they don't give a shit about working class people. They don't. Neither party does. But it's still nice to see somebody like Masters. He tried to stand out, and I think he should focus more on that. But kind of the tangent over, you get the point that there are other factors hurting Masters, and it's a different electorate. There's hundreds of thousands of new voters that Blake Masters can appeal to. He lost by 100,000? Well, look how many votes that Trump got. 1.6 million? Biden got 1.6 million. So what? That's about 800,000 more voters in 2020 than 2022. Plus, Arizona's growing faster. There are many indications to say Masters can absolutely win next year. But let's get to the article, because that's kind of the bread and butter of this video. So, Blake Masters is making plans to launch another Senate bid, potentially as soon as next week, according to 3 people familiar with the matter. And I've heard about this for, I would say for like 8 months now. I've been hearing stuff about this, but I was just not going to say anything because I didn't know how true it was, but it's sounding like it is pretty much happening. Masters did not reply to a request for comment. Masters won the GOP nomination last year, but lost to Mark Kelly in a critical swing state, even though, like I said, I went over many reasons for Blake Masters underperforming. He was going against a stronger Democrat. He was going, and everybody underperformed across the board. It was supposed to be R+6 environment. It was R+3. So there were many factors hindering Masters. That's just a fact. But yeah. Former gubernatorial Kari Lake advisors say she is expected to announce a Senate campaign in early fall. Though some Republicans are skeptical of Lake and Masters would run for the same seat. And this is the thing why everybody should support Masters or Mark Lamb. That's the other candidate that I kind of support. These electability people, they care so much about, we gotta stop the MAGA Republicans and all this other stuff, but they fail to realize that Mark Lamb and Blake Masters are our best options. Because look at who could potentially run. Abe Hamadeh, I'm actually fine with him. He is somebody that I'm fine with. He got shafted, but, will he actually run? I don't know. Jim Lamont, what a joke. And then Kari Lake. There's a lot of people that are not the biggest fan of her. And you start to realize, Blake Masters, yes, he underperformed in 2022, but when you start looking at the environment, you look at the context, did he really? He lost by 4. When there was hundreds of thousands of voters that just didn't vote. And that's not a conspiracy, that's just factual. There were a lower turnout in 2020 or 2022 than 2020. Or you got Sheriff Mark Lamb, who I think's fine. I'm actually a fan of him, but I personally support Masters because, well, for one, He's just great on the issues. And I think he is a great, solid candidate that has amazing policy. That's kind of my main reasoning for backing somebody like Masters. But you could support Mark Lamb, but you start looking at it, it's one of those two. Yeah, some of these people, Juan Ciscomani can win. He won a freaking Arizona 6 by a point when it voted for Trump or Biden by 0.1. I don't get the worship for this guy. Doug Ducey would never get past the primary now. Taylor Robeson's a Democrat. It's like, who else are you going to support? That TJ Shope or whatever his name is in the state legislature? That fraud? There isn't anybody but these two that you could start looking at it, and I think they have good chances of winning. Just saying. But there are a lot of people, for some reason, that hate Masters and Lamb so much they're refusing to realize they're the only two candidates that we got. When you start looking at it, they're also solid candidates in their own right. But it's just some people, they are so deranged. They hate people and they will never admit that they're our best options. Because I don't know why they blame Trump for everything. Don't know. Barrett Marston, an Arizona-based GOP strategist, said he talked to Masters a few months ago and he was pretty decisively in. However, he said Masters has been waiting for Lake to decide whether to run. I think he's now under the impression that maybe Kari Lake isn't going to run. Because I'll tell you, if Lake and Blake are both in, he is wasting his time, he said. They occupy the same lane. They have nearly the same name, and she has much better positive name ID among Republicans than Blake. But, like I said, do you really believe these favorability polls that have him at 12%? Or whatever they have him at? When you clearly saw he got 47% in an environment that wasn't necessarily favorable to Masters. You know, it's like, that's why I do question these favorability polls. How much do they really matter? But, again, people look at it and they take it at face value. It's like, I don't know about that. If Kari Lake runs, there's no lane for Masters, he added, and I agree. And I don't know, but Lake has been just off lately. I mean, she's attacking Masters for not talking about the election 2020 or in 2022 constantly. And just go look up that tweet and people are saying, no, that's not what she meant. She clearly attacked Masters. And let me pull up that tweet, actually. Yeah, so here it is. Kari Lake and her war room went after Blake Masters for talking to Dr. Andrew Jackson, who I follow. I don't know enough about him. I think he's running for the state legislature. But he's kind of known. I don't know enough about him, but they're attacking not just Dr. Andrew, but also Blake Masters for being quite silent on the election stuff. That's her exact quote. I mean, what can you say other than, why attack Blake Masters? I just don't get it, but she did it, and I don't think that's a good idea, but hey, if she wants to do it, I'm not going to say anything. Either way, folks, next year's Senate election is definitely going to be wacky in the state of Arizona. Democrats are all but behind Gallego. He's going to be the nominee, while Sinema, the current senator, she may run. There's a good chance she runs. Maybe she doesn't. If she does run, that just makes this election even more bizarre. But either way, folks, I think everybody kind of understands that it's between Masters, Lamb, or potentially Lake. And I think Masters is our best option. Mark Lamb I'm fine with, but I honestly think he would be a better governor candidate than anything. And Kari Lake, well, I was fine with her, but just some of the stuff she's been doing and saying recently, it's like, I don't know. But I would support her for the Senate if she is the nominee, but we just got to see what happens. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed. to all of you.